There are potentially dramatic developments in the hostage for ceasefire deal, with Hamas reportedly turning over a list of living Israeli captives they have been able to locate. Latest developments later in this broadcast, but for now, our opening story. The IDF confirmed that since the fall of the al-Assad regime in Syria at the start of this week, Israel has hit some 320 military and strategic targets, eliminating about 80% of Syrian capabilities. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz documents the unprecedented destruction of an enemy military.
The IDF has now released footage of Operation Bashan Arrow. The operation to destroy Syrian weapons of the former al-Assad regime was named after the Golan and South Syria region's biblical name. The IDF confirmed that since the fall of the al-Assad regime in Syria at the start of the week, Israel has hit some 320 Syrian military and strategic targets, eliminating about 80% of Syrian capabilities. The targets destroyed include air defense, missile depots, drones, helicopters, fighter jets, naval vessels, and chemical weapons manufacturing facilities. Missiles destroyed include long-range Scuds and coast-to-sea missiles. Meanwhile, the IDF said it continues its deployment in the buffer between Israel and Syria on the Golan Heights on the Syrian side of the border. The IDF has stressed that its deployment to the buffer is a defensive and temporary measure amid the chaos in Syria following the fall of the al-Assad regime.
צה"ל משלים כעת את ההתבססות במרחב החיץ ובאזורים שולטים על מנת להגן על תושבי רמת הגולן ועל אזרחי מדינת ישראל. הנחיתי יחד עם ראש הממשלה את צה"ל להקים מרחב הגנה סטרילי מנשק ומאיומי טרור בדרום סוריה.
Naturally, the UN complained about the Israeli incursion. Israel rejected the criticism and declared its right to defend itself against potential threats.
על מנת למנוע התבססות והתארגנות של הטרור בסוריה ויצירת מציאות שתהיה דומה למה שהיה בלבנון ובעזה לפני 7 באוקטובר. לא נאפשר את הדבר הזה, לא נאפשר איומים על מדינת ישראל.
And joining us now from Barcelona is Syrian journalist Badakhan Ahmad. Badakhan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, these must certainly still be days of euphoria after the long-awaited fall of the al-Assad regime, but it's still the early days of the rebels trying to keep the situation in Damascus and elsewhere calm. Tell me, what are your initial impressions of the moves of the rebels up until now, and what are the key indicators to show what kind of Syria we can expect to see?
Well, yeah, that's right. In the first 3-4 days, most of the Syrian people, they are still feeling the happiness, emotions that al-Assad family is gone from Syria, and they cannot control or keep Syria only for their family anymore after more than 53 years. But the question now, the Syrian people now start to think about the future of Syria, because this is the next station. The people, or the Syrian people, they went in the streets, in the demonstrations for have a political change, not only for change the head of the Syria or the president of Syria or the family who controls Syria. So what is more important for the Syrian people now is to have a political change. So we have seen the social media that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or HTS, they have put their flag next to the Syrian flag, and this was a big worry for the most of the Syrian people. I have a lot of friends on Instagram, and I can see that most of the minorities start to be worried for the next step, or then the future of the Syria, or what will be the next in Syria, like the Christians, the people from the south, or maybe the people from Latakia, Tartus, and specifically the Kurdish people who lives more in the northeastern part of Syria. So the Syrian people need to feel that Syria will be for everyone, not for only one party or one political party.
Of course. And now I've been reading some of your writing, and you have mentioned the dangers of Turkish intervention. You know, why is this? What is the nature of Turkey's relationship with Syria, and what is the role of Turkey moving forward?
To be honest, there is no connection. There is no reason why Turkey still need to interfere the situation inside Syria. Turkey has entered Syria for one reason, was to break al-Assad regime and to help the Syrian opposition. But after al-Assad is gone, we can see now the goal of Turkey is not this, is to destroy or to maybe do more massacres with the Kurdish people who lives in this territory of Syria, specifically in the northeast. Yesterday, they took control of all of Manbij city. It's in the countryside of Aleppo with the support of some factions on the ground. They could be some mercenaries or some radical groups. I get a lot of reports from inside Manbij that these rebels or these groups start to enter the houses, steal the houses, kidnap people, steal the cars. So we are facing another danger from Turkey, from the north side of Syria. And they are not stopping only with this. We have reports every day that they are doing drone attacks in different positions in Kurdish territories. So I think this has to be an international interfere, that Turkey does not need to interfere the situation of internal situation in Syria and specifically the Kurdish people.
Right. And just today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned the new regime not to invite Iran back in. And he's hinted that if they don't, we could potentially see diplomatic relations between the countries, as we've seen with Egypt and Jordan. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think we could see some form of diplomatic ties between Israel and Syria?
Well, to be a little clear about this, I think now it's a little early to see what HTS can do about Syria. In the public statements, they say that we will protect all the minorities and all the communities in Syria, that we will have good relations with the neighbors, with the could be Europeans, could be the countries who are neighbor with Syria. But the question is really they can do this, because we can see now inside Syria we have a lot of tension now. We can see that these rebels are attacking different positions, taking revenge from other people, killing, doing murders in different positions of Syria, in Latakia, Tartus, in the north, could be in the south. So the question is that Abu Muhammad Jolani or Ahmad al-Shara, that do you think that really he can control these different factions in Syria? Because we have seen some footage from Al-Umawi Mosque that some rebels were threatening specifically Israel and other countries too. So I think, of course, we all hope the best for Syria. All the Syrian people cannot have more examples of wars. But some people, I have seen in some social media that some people are comparing the situation now with the same situation with the Syrian government. For example, the family of Assad, they have never had a direct conflict with Israel, but they were not able to control the situation on the ground, which was the Iran interfering. So I think these people, they are thinking that could be the same example. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani cannot control the situation on the ground. With this situation, with this chaotic situation now in the field.
Badr Khan, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today. And now back to the hostages. According to reports in the Arabic and Hebrew media, Hamas has handed over to Egyptian mediators a list of Israeli hostages, living and dead, that are held in captivity. Now, if that proves to be true, it will fulfill a major Israeli demand ahead of a potential hostage for ceasefire deal, although Israeli officials say they have not yet received the list. Israel maintains that 100 Israeli hostages, living and dead, are still held in Gaza. According to the Arabic media, Hamas handed over a list of 30 living Israeli hostages that would be freed in the first stage of the Egyptian-mediated ceasefire plan. IDF Chief Halevi made a surprise trip to Cairo amid rising speculation that a hostage for ceasefire deal could be within reach. Shin Bet Chief Ronen Bar and Halevi reportedly met senior Egyptian officials in Cairo to discuss issues related to the Egyptian border, including the Philadelphia access and the Rafah crossing. The IDF is deployed in those areas, and the Egyptian proposal reportedly includes arrangements for the Palestinian Authority to control the Gazan side of the strategic border crossing. According to a senior Israeli official, Jerusalem believes that Hamas may now finally be ready for a deal that does not guarantee an end to the 432-day-old war in Gaza. As another reminder that the war is still ongoing, Hamas fired 2 rockets towards southern Israel this morning. Both were shot down by the air defense. And Prime Minister Netanyahu sent out a hand of chants for peace and also a warning to the new Syrian leadership. Netanyahu's condition: forbid the return and re-establishment of Iran to the new regime. The rebel leader appears to comply, but here's more from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
In the days leading up to the fall of the al-Assad regime, some 4,000 Iranians, including top military advisors and fighters, fled for home. They ran for their lives knowing that they were complicit in the crimes of the al-Assad regime. The Ayatollah's regime in Iran is now saying it wants relations with the nation it had helped to destroy and is warning against Syrian ties with Israel.
به شدت منتظر در واقع رفتار و عملکرد افراد هستیم و میزان فاصله اونها با رژیم صهیونیستی یکی از شاخصهایی هست که برای ما مهمه. به دنبال گفتگو هستیم مثل همه کشورهای دیگه. رویکرد ایران رویکرد گفتگو با همه کشورهاست.
The rebel leader Jolani is saying that Iran was and still is its enemy and was responsible for having kept al-Assad in power since the start of the civil war. Rebel leaders have also said they want peaceful relations with all of its neighbors. Prime Minister Netanyahu said there is potential for relations with the new regime, but only if Iran stays out.
אנחנו רוצים יחסים תקינים עם המשטר החדש בסוריה. אבל אם המשטר הזה יאפשר לאיראן לחזור להתבסס בסוריה, או יאפשר העברת נשק איראני או כל נשק אחר לחיזבאללה, או יתקוף אותנו, אנחנו נגיב בעוצמה. אנחנו נגבה ממנו מחיר כבד, מה שקרה למשטר הקודם, יקרה גם למשטר הזה.
Netanyahu explained the reason that it was necessary to attack the Syrian armed forces with an historic reference to the end of World War II.
אני אפשרתי לחיל האוויר להפציץ יכולות צבאיות אסטרטגיות שהשאיר צבא סוריה, כדי שאלה לא ייפלו בידי הג'יהאדיסטים. זה דומה למה שחיל האוויר הבריטי עשה כשהוא הפציץ את הצי של משטר וישי ששיתף פעולה עם הנאצים, כדי שזה לא ייפול בידי הנאצים.
And in an effort to improve its ballistic missile program, the Islamic Republic of Iran has announced that it has conducted a successful space launch. Meanwhile, the International Atomic Watchdog has sounded the alarm that Iran is dramatically increasing enriched uranium production. Though Iran denies it is advancing a nuclear program other than civilian use, but the evidence seems to point to the contrary. More from ILTV's Lidal Gravelasi.
Over the weekend, Iran claimed it sent its heaviest ever payload into space on the Simorgh rocket, a rocket built by Iran's defense ministry and armed forces logistics.
ویژگی این پرتاب این بود که نسبت به پرتاب‌های قبلی قابلیت بالاتری داشت. در آینده با توسعه و بهینه‌سازی‌هایی که ماهواره بر سیمرغ داره روش انجام میشه در آینده نزدیک این وزن انشالله تا 500 کیلوگرم قابلیت.
Intercontinental ballistic missiles can be used to deliver nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, Chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency Rafael Grossi told Reuters in an interview that Iran is dramatically increasing the production of enriched uranium at 60% purity, approaching the about 90% level that is weapons grade. Reuters reported that Iran already has enough to produce 4 nuclear weapons, which Western diplomats say there is no civilian justification to enrich such an amount of uranium. And a new report from the United States Director of National Intelligence Office has found that if Iran continues enriching uranium at the present rate, it will have enough material to produce 12 nuclear bombs. While Iran has not yet made the leap to producing a nuclear weapon, these latest maneuvers significantly advanced its ability to make the quick leap into production. Israel and the United States have said they would not allow the regime to acquire a nuclear weapon. Yet, as Iran's influence in the region has been severely inhibited from the weakening of its terror proxies in Gaza and Lebanon and now the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, many experts believe this may lead the regime to make the leap to producing nuclear weapons.
And now we turn to Mayan Hoffman, who is standing by in Jerusalem with some exciting updates about the Paraguay embassy reopening. Mayan, what can you share with us?
Well, Ariella, I'm standing here right near the American Embassy in Jerusalem, and I do have some very exciting and finally happy news coming out of the Holy City, and that is that today President Santiago Peña is in the city. He is here to reopen the Paraguay Embassy in Jerusalem. That will open at Har Hatzvim Industrial Park and officially begin operations tomorrow.
This morning, Peña met with President Isaac Herzog and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and participated in a special Knesset ceremony. The reopening fulfills a key campaign promise from his 2023 election.
On the outset, I understand that this could be seen as a signal of support to Israel in this difficult moment. But believe me, Mr. President, this is something that we needed to do for ourselves. This is a moral obligation that Paraguay people have asked us to do. And we feel that we are bringing the heart and feeling of more than 6 million Paraguayans, that they feel so close, so attached to the people of Israel.
Paraguay first moved its embassy to Jerusalem in 2018 under President Horacio Cartes, following the U.S. and Guatemala. However, 5 months later, the decision was reversed by his successor, Mario Abdo Benitez, prompting Israel to close its embassy in Paraguay. In September 2024, Israel reopened its embassy during a moving ceremony. The reopening ceremony in Jerusalem includes the families of Sivan El-Kabetz and Noor Hasidim, victims of the October 7th attacks. A mezuzah that once belonged to Sivan and Noor was affixed on the door of the Israeli embassy in Paraguay. Paraguay now joins a growing list of nations recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, including the United States, Guatemala, Kosovo, Honduras, and Papua New Guinea. Several other countries have announced plans to move their embassies soon, such as Liberia, Malawi, Congo, and Equatorial Guinea in Africa, Argentina in South America, and the Czech Republic in Europe, among others.
Now, the embassy was supposed to open before the October 7th massacre and the ongoing war, but unfortunately, due to the security situation, the opening was delayed. So today really marks an incredible moment of solidarity and support from Paraguay for the people of the State of Israel.
And as Israel continues to face unprecedented challenges, emergency services remain the backbone of the nation's resilience. And in the midst of these challenging times, innovation is also helping to shape the future of emergency medicine. While United Hatzalah, known for its rapid response, is now using advanced AI to predict and prevent medical emergencies. And so joining me now is Dov Maizel, VP of Operations at United Hatzalah. Dov, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dov, I understand that United Hatzalah developed an advanced artificial intelligence system designed to predict and preempt medical emergencies across Israel. So can you tell us more about the system and how it works to effectively save lives?
Yeah, so essentially what happened was post-October 7th, when over 1,000 of our volunteers were drafted into the IDF as medics, we identified a gap of our response times in the community, and we understood we had to work rapidly to find a solution for that, to get to that 90-second goal. So we leveraged the power of community. We recruited a whole bunch of volunteers of ex-A200 unit experts with expertise in AI, and we put them down at the drawing table with our team and said, how could we predict where the next call will be? We have 18 years of data. And how can we know where the next call will be so we can put our resource there, the ambucycle or the ambulance, right nearby, so to reduce the response time and get there in the critical moments and save lives.
Incredible. And so what will be the impact of the system on emergency medicine in Israel and also worldwide?
So what I believe will be is, instead of ambulances needing to cross back and forth the whole city in order to get to an address and create long response times, we could actually position the resources, whether it's an ambulance or an ambucycle or a volunteer, right nearby where, by the predictive models, we'll know where that call will happen and effectively hit the 90-second mark. And not only that, but the byproduct of this will be reducing accidents on the way and risks for the volunteers and the professionals on the road, with less road time and more effective response times.
Now, I know that the AI system was developed by veterans of the IDF's 8200 intelligence unit and also members of United Hatzalah operations and technology department. But what inspired this innovation?
So, like I said at the beginning, first of all, the need. Because 1,000 of the 7,000 volunteers we had were drafted into the IDF. That means people left the community and weren't there to respond. And we were thinking, in order to take a new volunteer and train them and equip them, it will take between 6 to 9 months. We thought we got to leverage technology and the big buzzword of AI. I said, okay, let's get the big experts, which volunteered to do it with our technical team, with our professionals over here. Got down to the drawing table and thought of the best solution. And today we're at a unbelievable hit mark of over 90% to the prediction. Meaning, in the big cities in Israel, I can predict with over 90% certainty of where the next call will be within a minute to 2 minute distance of where the prediction shows is going to happen.
Amazing. So, have you received any feedback from EMTs in the field? How do they feel about the tool?
It's tremendous. It's tremendous. First of all, they feel effective when a volunteer goes out for a shift. They don't want to waste half the shift just driving and back and forth across town. They go to the marks on the map of where they're positioned, and within a minute or two, they get a call which is literally half a block away. They're saving more lives. They're getting to more people in need during their shift, and all in all, it's a win-win across the board. And the patients are getting saved.
And so do you see this state-of-the-art technology becoming an essential system for all emergency medical services across the globe?
Well, I'll say very simply, based on experience, in 2006, we introduced to the world the first location-based activation volunteers, what today is known as like Uber. We introduced this in 2006 over phones that weren't even smartphones before the iPhone. My belief is that this will become the gold standard of the future of EMS.
Incredible work, and yet another show of outstanding innovation coming out of Israel. Dov, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
And now the oldest complete stone tablet of the Ten Commandments, dating back over 1,500 years and inscribed in Paleo-Hebrew, is set to be auctioned at Sotheby's, New York. Take a look. The earliest complete stone tablet of the Ten Commandments, dating back over 1,500 years, is about to go under the hammer at Sotheby's, New York. This rare artifact, inscribed in Paleo-Hebrew, offers a unique glimpse into ancient history.
Behind us, we have one of the most important treasures that I have ever handled. It is the earliest complete stone tablet of the Ten Commandments. It dates back to the late Roman, Byzantine period from over 1,500 years ago.
Weighing 115 pounds and standing about 2 feet tall, this marble tablet was discovered in 1913 during railway excavations along Israel's southern coast. Despite the incredible find, its significance went unrecognized for decades. Interestingly, this tablet contains only 9 of the traditional commandments. The third commandment, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain," was replaced with a directive to worship on Mount Gerizim, a holy site for the Samaritans. This incredible piece of history will go on auction December 18th, with an estimated price between $1 and $2 million. A rare treasure, soon to find a new home. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies are expected tonight around the country, and temperatures should reach lows of around 12 degrees Celsius or 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, cloudy skies are expected alongside warm temperatures set to reach highs of 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Ariella Lechiani. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.